Hey guys, this is Inferno Kazama here. You guys probably wondering, what my setup is like and how I stream and how I record things. Well, today I'm going to show you exactly what my setup is and how I achieve what I achieve. So, stay tuned. Alright guys, for this video I'm going to be using my phone hooked up to a tripod. So this is the reason why it'll look the way it does, so just to give you guys an understanding. But currently this is my setup, what I've got going on right now. Now, you're probably wondering, what is all of this, Alright. Let's get it started with the first thing that you guys see, which are the two monitors. Two monitors here are two 21.5-inch 1080p displays on an IPS panel, 60 hertz, 60 frames per second or 60 hertz monitors. They were roughly about $100 and they're from Acer. I highly recommend these, although they're probably newer and much better IPS panels that you can buy for probably cheaper or around the same price. However, for my needs, these two monitors are perfectly good for what I want, or perfectly good for what I have. Then up here you see I have a headset, which is a creative design or creative labs Inferno headset. I can't remember exactly what the name of them. Excuse me, the Creative Sound Blaster Inferno headset. It's around $50 at purchase. It comes with a detachable mic, even though I don't use it anymore. It is still a good quality headset if you guys are interested in it. And then for what I do use now for my microphone, and let me turn this thing off real quick, that way you guys can see a little bit better, is a Blue Yeti microphone, which is right here. And let's shorten my legs up just a tiny bit here, that way I don't keep bumping into stuff. So sorry. But all right, and the Blue Yeti microphone is sitting right here. And it is sitting on a mic stand. Now the mic stand that I have is currently not, or technically not supported for the Blue Yeti microphone. However, it works perfectly with a pop filter to boot. So there you go. And then let's see, what else do we have here? My Xbox 360. Don't worry about that. I hardly ever use it at all now. The mouse that I have hooked up right here is a SteelSeries Sensei Raw. It's around about a $50 mouse, wired. Then I currently have a Blackweb, just a regular old membrane keyboard. It's about $30, looks the part, but it's a membrane keyboard. I don't mind a membrane keyboard because that's all I'm used to. So that's that. And then I've got my standard Xbox One controller for, my PC games that, do require controller input. And then my speakers. Currently, I have these, which are Cyber Acoustics. I don't remember the exact name or the model or whatnot, but they're Cyber Acoustics, and I have I have the speaker right here, laying down just because of the orientation of the monitors. And then down here, if I move my chair, you see it right down there, that is the subwoofer right there. Now, This thing right here is my gaming chair, what I use to play my games on. That just gives you an idea as to the look. You know, I'm kind of a red and black enthusiast, and red and black are my two favorite colors. Just deal with it for you guys, I don't care. But anyway, this beast down here, if I can get to show you guys, this beast right here, and let's show you what I'm talking about here. This beast right here is my gaming computer right here. This is what I use to mainly game on and do some editing. Just to give you guys an idea, this is what I edit slash game on. It's not powerful enough to record full 1080p 60 frames a second video, but it could, you know, easily do 720p 60 frames a second video. It could easily do that, or 30 frames a second. It could easily do that if I wanted it to. But, you know, I kind of like to go all out. So with the spare parts that I had lying around, and I purchased a CPU, a motherboard, and a SSD, I was able to build this thing. Now, this computer right here is basically a spare parts computer. The spare parts are what all I've used in this build. The only things that are actually new in this particular PC are the motherboard, the CPU, the SSD, and the fan controller right here, which, if you allow me to turn it on, has LED lights, and it can go, you can turn the switches up and on to give, you know, the fans more speed or whatnot. I've got the exact same thing right here, the exact same one right here. So this is just the exact same one that I've used to kind of keep the PCs quiet. For some reason, this PC, or this USB slot, is dead on this case, so I can't use it. That's why I have it taped off. And the PC specs of this computer that I have, well, actually, let's go back to this one. The PC specs that I have on this. The processor is a AMD FX 8370. And then it's a clock speed of 4 gigahertz with a turbo boost of 4.3. Then I have an RX 480 4 gigabyte model. Then I have a an EVGA Supernova 650 watt power supply in here. I have 16 gigs of Corsair, Corsair Vengeance, I do believe. Let's make sure. Yes, Corsair Vengeance DDR3 RAM. Due to the limitations of the CPU, I'm only able to run it at 1333 megahertz. Even though the sticks that I have in there are rated higher, it's just due to the limitations of the CPU because of the 4 RAM sticks being used. I have an aftermarket cooler with an LED fan on there, as you can see. I think it's the Cooler Master Gemini. Then for both systems, I have the exact same motherboard, which is the Gigabyte GA990 FX UD3 R5. And this case is rocking 2 230 millimeter fans. This is the this is what you would call the Cooler Master HAF or HAF 932 Advanced. It's a full tower chassis. It's pretty big. as you guys can see, but the airflow is extremely great in there. It keeps this PC really nice and quiet, which is what I was going for when I found this case. There are newer cases out there, but with an airflow system, you just can't beat it. And this case right here, the system that it's got in here, it's an FX 8300. You know, it's roughly about the same as the FX 8370. It's just a lower clock speed and stuff like that. Same motherboard. 8 gigs of DDR3 RAM at 1600. And then I have, I believe, a 240 gig SSD in here. Either that or 120. I'm not quite sure. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it's either a 240 or 120. Oh, and speaking of which, this PC, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place here. But this PC has 2 SSDs, one a 240. That one I do know it has a 240. And this one also has a 480 gig that I store all my games on. And then I have a 1 terabyte mechanical hard drive, along with a LED fan strip, LED strip in here to give to give my case some illumination. But in this case, all it has is 1 SSD. Has the same motherboard. The power supply is just a generic 500 watt EVGA 80 plus gold. Not 80 plus gold, excuse me, 80 plus bronze power supply. It's non-modular, so it's got ketchup mustard cables all over the place, but the cable management is pretty decent in there for what I was able to achieve. And this PC that I built right here, out of spare parts, cost me about $250. Now keep in mind, I say spare parts because most of this PC was used from spare parts. Everything in here except for the SSD, the motherboard, the CPU, and yeah, the motherboard, the SSD, and the CPU. Everything except for those 3, because those 3 I had to buy. Everything else I had spare parts for. Everything in this case, and this was actually the case that I first built my PC gaming rig in. So it's still fairly comparable, even though it's an old case. I built my PC in this case around 4 years ago, I would say, roughly in 2014, 2013. So that gives you guys an idea as to how long I've been doing PC gaming, like actual custom gaming rigs. So there's that. But then we also have more stuff that I have to show you. This keyboard that I have right here is a overseas counterpart. You can't really see it right now. If I turn this light on, you might be able to see it. But for one reason or another, and I guarantee it's due to licensing rights, if you look closely enough, you can see a Batman symbol. However, for some odd reason, that's not trademarked, and it's not a Batman actual keyboard. This is what they call the, excuse me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, the Rafu Nighthawk. Yeah, the name's there, the Rafu or whatnot, the Rafu Nighthawk. The only bad part, and I would have kept this keyboard, except for one thing that was causing me to switch this out. The reason that I switched from this keyboard to this keyboard is because these color switches that you see right here, they do not stick whatsoever. So say, for instance, you wanted to go with this purplish / pink vibe here, or the red one. Every time you restart your system, it goes right back to blue, no matter what you do. If you open up a full screen application, it goes directly to blue no matter what you've got going on. So that's the reason I switched to this one, because this one, it's red all the time. And then you have the option to change it to green or like a yellowish green kind of color, even though it doesn't look green here. Then there's the really green color, and then there. So that gives you an idea there. And then here, again, you can't really see it because I've got the light blocked off, but if you see right here, this is my capture card, what I use to capture my gameplay footage in. My gameplay footage is used with a Razer Ripsaw USB 3.0 capture card. It's one of the reasons why I actually had to build the secondary PC. It's because when I got the PC, I was trying to use my laptop that, you know, it's kind of old, ancient, and probably wouldn't have given me the results I wanted anyway. But it has USB 3 and you can only connect it via USB 3. So when I got this capture card and I realized I couldn't do that, well, I was kind of screwed. And so that's how I control this computer. And how I've got this computer set up. So whenever I'm doing live streaming, or whenever I'm doing any kind of video editing or anything, or whenever I'm capturing video off of my main computer onto the secondary computer, how it works is this. My microphone, which is my Blue Yeti that I use for the most part, gets sent to the Razer Ripsaw, and my Razer Ripsaw captures all of the sound coming from the computer into this computer right here. Now this computer captures all of that, and you know, because of the fact that I have, oh, and excuse me, I take that back. There is another component to this PC that I did not talk about, and that's the video card. I had a $30 video card just to start off with, which is actually, I have it right here. This was the video card that I had in here before. That was the video card I had in there before. However, this thing was not keeping up with what I wanted. In order for me to even capture 1080p 60 frames a second video, what I had to do is I had to disable the previews. So I couldn't tell what I was doing. So what did I end up doing? I ended up buying a RX 460 for about 100 bucks. The RX 460 gives me exactly what I want, and I can easily play games on this if I wanted to, but I'm not. Because this isn't the monster PC that I have, that is. And I also have a USB, wireless mouse that controls this PC too. However, to simplify my needs, I hardly use the keyboard and mouse. The keyboard and mouse is only for whenever I need to do work on there, and it's, tying up the CPU resources when I use TeamViewer on this main computer to hook up to this computer. Or whenever I'm playing back video and stuff like that and I want to see the actual thing before I transfer it over to this thing. I know this is a long video, guys. I'm just trying to run down my setup for you. And the workstation desk that I have right here is called the IKEA Friday desk, or Friday. I believe it's called Friday. But that's basically the what I've got right here. And then I've got, a mat to kind of keep the chair roughly where it's at. And I've got 2 USB hubs, one right here that's Velcroed to the desk. Same with this one that's hooked up to that computer. This one is hooked up to that computer. That way I have easy access to the USB drives. That way I don't have to worry about hunking down. I can just unplug and go. This desk has cup holders, so that's very nice for me considering I work, breathe, and live at this desk for the most part. I mean, this is my room, just to give you guys an understanding. This is like my room. So that's where I sleep. That's where I sleep, so yeah. And what I do to get notifications on the sound of whenever I am streaming is I take a line-in cable and I hook it all the way up to the, or I take the speaker cable and go all the way into the line-in on this computer. And the line-in comes into my speakers and I can basically hear everything that this computer outputs to this one. So it's basically streamlined and everything like that. So that's basically it. Oh, and also, real quick, the webcam that I have right here is the Logitech C920. Now this desk doesn't look nearly as what it should be, and I have raised it several times and I've done some cable management, even though you can't really tell from right there, just because if you go and you look right up here, you can see that I've done some real nice cable management, or tried to. I had, a lot of cables everywhere. But this video should be out to you guys very shortly, if not of the day that I've recorded this, maybe sometime a couple of days later. But this is basically what I wanted to show you guys and how I capture video and what I do and what my setup is like. Granted, you guys are not going to be able to get the same performance that I do, but, on a budget and, after several years of accumulating PC hardware, this is basically the monster that I've come to know. And it all started with that case and that CPU. That case right there was my first ever custom PC. Every single part in this build right here, except, and I do mean except for the hard drive, the mechanical hard drive, every single part in this system is brand new compared to what I built in here. I've basically gutted this computer and all of its parts, because I used to have, when I first built my PC, FX 6300, and then a MSI, I think it was like a 6900 twin Frozer 2 gig graphics card from back in like 2011, 2012. So yeah, that just gives you guys an idea as to how far I've come as far as my PC gaming goes and PC hardware and tech. Anyway, and that was currently the video. So thanks guys for watching, and I appreciate it. And if you would like, be sure to follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/InfernoKazama, twitter.com/InfernoKazama, twitch.tv/InfernoKazama, and you can also, if you're watching this on YouTube, of course, you can follow me and subscribe to me on YouTube. Anyway, I am gotta be going. I will be editing this video and probably live streaming. So anyway, see ya!